Hello, I am Dr. Noni Davis, and I would like to present this recent PowerPoint presentation that I created, African Technology and Ingenuity. And let's begin. Greetings, I am Dr. Daphne Davis, and everyone's called me Noni. I am from St. C Academy, and I'm a legacy owner. My parents, William Davis, the late William T. Davis, and my mother, Sylvia T. Davis, opened St. C in 1996, and we have been serving the community here uh, for the last 28 years. One of the things that I have enjoyed doing as a teacher in African Center education is creating curriculum that is inspirational, helps our children focus and understand the contributions of their people, the ingenuity of their own people, so they will not think that their genius or their understanding or their creativity is something that's an anomaly, it's natural. We are music, but music is science. We are art, and our art was science. We were the first to create calendars, and we were the first to create, these simple machines. And so I'm just continuing to build on that conversation with this particular presentation, African technology and engineering. This is our first slide, decolonizing our minds. And we have to decolonize our minds regarding what our children, who our children are, and who our children are, and what our legacy, our African legacy is in all aspects of the curriculum, and private. So the person I would like to start with is Onesimus, who was an enslaved African. He was from West Africa, and he was brought to the United States in the early 1700s. And so he was owned by Cotton Mather. Cotton Mather is a historical figure who was a Puritan, Massachusetts. His family started that first colony. They in the 1600s. They're also going to start at Harvard University and all of these, high high learning institutions, some of the oldest private institutions in the United States. And he had an encounter here with during this time frame. They had outbreak of smallpox, which they believe came from indigenous African people, but from African people who had been brought across slave ships from down in the Caribbean colonies. And because of the unsanitary conditions of these ships, which were created by Europeans, they contracted this disease. But however, when the outbreak occurred in West Massachusetts, Cotton Mather noticed that the people in Black community, where Onesimus was, were not contracting the disease at the same rate that the Europeans. And so he asked Onesimus, can you explain why aren't y'all getting sick? And basically, he said, in Africa, there was a problem with someone had the smallpox. They extracted a small amount of pus from their body. They took the pus and transferred it to someone who experienced symptoms, or no, who was asymptomatic. Sorry, it was asymptomatic, and put a little bit of pus in their arm, or a wound that was cut on their arm, and from that moment, they were able to, they went through a few of the, they had an immediate reaction, but their body was able to build immunity to it. So these Africans understood how the body fought disease. These this also meant that they were aware of microorganisms and germs, bacteria. This also indicated they understood what process of the human. And so, you know, it's amazing. So Cotton Mather was like, what? And he said, some kind of voodoo. But he said, let me go out whether he's trying to do some research. And he found out, yes, they checked, they practiced in India, they practiced the same thing in Turkey. And so there was, it may not have been the exact same way, but there was, this was the practice. So he said, okay, let me go and see if I can get folks to do, you know, let's conduct research here and see if we can get an experiment, see what happens. Well, of course, you know what the reaction was. We found the doctor who said he would do it, and they asked about 6 people to make the initial experiment. Cotton Mather's house was had a firebomb, so do it. The doctor was threatened with his life, was almost killed, and the Black community, you know, they just went to, you know, bringing up Africa, which doctor nonsense here, and and so it was like, well, you know, y'all can die or you can try it, and you know, after all that violence that the Western folks decided to do, the 6 people, I think all 6 people who were the initial participants survived, and they're like, oh, okay. And so then they decided to go ahead and proceed. And then it wasn't until almost maybe about 30, 40 years ago, the name Nessus began to reemerge in history for this incredible thing he accomplished back then in 1721 by sharing an African worldview on how to deal with smallpox. So as you can see, this was smallpox. This is what it looks like, and Africans were one who introduced the idea of inoculation, which later became immunization and what we now call vaccine, before it became a capitalist system, capitalist part of capitalism. Anyway, so here's another young man. Now his name is Haman Bekele. He's America's Young Scientist. He is 14 years old, and he has been in the news recently because he demonstrated an interest in creating a cheaper method of curing cancer, specifically skin cancer. He said that when he was a young man or a young child in Ethiopia, he was always concerned about the workers, the laborers who had to work in the heat all day long, and how that was just, he felt like that was just so unhealthy for them to be working like that in severe heat. And so his interest in biology and chemistry emerged at that time. And this young man has done an incredible thing at the age of 14 of creating a bar soap that it has, oh my goodness, I can't remember what that has a certain chemical in it that fights skin cancer, and when you bathe in it, the chemicals that are in the soap are able to penetrate your skin on a molecular level, and even though you wash it off, it was able to remain and work with immediacy on the skin cancer. And so we just give thanks for this young man. But here's a picture of the skin cancer treating soap, SCTS, and he won $25,000, which he has invested in the continued development of this soap and also towards his college career. You know, and at 14, he's got a few more years to go before he can enter that level of freshman. So, or 14, probably, yeah, just finished up getting into his 9th grade year. So just imagine the youth of the person I want to introduce you is Maxwell Chikumbutsu. This man is incredible. He has created a self-powered vehicle, a helicopter, and a television. You see him in this first picture. He's standing beside it, and his electric EV car. His helicopter also does not operate on gasoline. Well, I think that you can use 5 different fuels for this particular helicopter. So just imagine how this would benefit people in Africa. You know, cars have to be inexpensive. With the helicopter, it would be perfect for like emergency situations and like weather conditions like droughts, flooding. All kinds of crops. Looking out for monitoring forests and animal life and all kinds of things. So this is something that he's created. But what really intrigued me was this television, which is operating off of radio waves. So Mr. Chikumbutsu is from Zimbabwe. He has no formal education, and they said that his invention defied physics. So we need to also be praying for this young man because he's doing things that are, that even the physicists are having a hard time explaining. But just imagine television that does not have to be plugged in, that is operating. He has a pack, a kind of battery pack on the back of the television that is converting radio waves to that TV. So it's like probably something similar to how our phones operate, our cell phones operate. So just imagine, I mean, it's just amazing. So that's what he has done. Our area of African engineering, these are their contemporaries. Lastly, I talked about the, levers, wheels, axles, pulleys, and fulcrums, and all these things, catapults, things of that nature that are ancient technology. But damn focusing on this contemporary stuff. These are EV cars in Ethiopia. Can you imagine Ethiopia has gotten rid of has banned all gas car sales. So you cannot no longer purchase a brand new gas powered car in Ethiopia. And they took it to another step. They decided to just invent their own EV cars. So they have created their own industry, which I ever. So these are their EV cars. They have produced 100,000, and because they are aware or realize that their population is so, the level of poverty or the affordability, I'm not going to say poverty, but just the affordability of a car, there is, maybe one, 2, 3 people out of like 100 might own a car, or maybe even 100. But so they decided, let's also build EV buses and vans for transporting people, and they have a line of buses and a line of EV vans as well. So Ethiopia is knocking it out. They have produced 100,000 EV cars. Producing electric buses and other forms of public transportation to help reduce carbon emissions while creating better transportation avenues for Ethiopians who cannot purchase automobiles. And their pursuit of EV car production is a response to their determination to achieve a clean energy status country. They have also, in addition to eliminating the use of gas-driven cars, they have created a hydropower electrical plant through the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam in the Nile River. So they are moving and shaking and making things happen. One of the things I also presented was, well, this one just happened recently. Senegal just recently launched its own satellite. So now they have joined, I think there are 12 other African countries. Nigeria, I think, they were first to launch their own satellite in space. Um, and one of the reasons they have the satellite is to monitor weather patterns, changes in climate. There's a lot of flooding going on. We've also got quite a bit of drought, and they're very concerned about what, how to um, change their environment. And later on in this particular presentation, I have one of the things that's going on in the Sahara Desert, which I introduced at the end of another science presentation I did. And this one was also for satellites. But their satellites are for climate, for managing or responding, quick response to uh, flooding and emergency situations that are the result of of flooding or drought. And so theirs is primarily for just they're helping aiding the community and monitoring with the weather and how these new conditions are impacting Africans all over the world. So it's really cool to see that they have done this. This particular satellite is called Game Desat 1A, and it was constructed in partnership with Francis Montpellier University Space Program. And so, as I stated, it's going to monitor water resources, civil aviation, and meteorology. All right. So, congratulations to them. And I think this just happened in Senegal in August. They launched it in August. Yeah, and so they have joined 12 African countries with this new satellite game set. But I find his work very interesting. He is from his name is Diego. I could be pronouncing it wrong. Francis Kede. He is involved in Bud House technology. He's from Burkina Faso. He is an architect, and he has created innovative designs that are sustainable and collaborative with nature, and inexpensive because they require local resources. And so I guess the reason why I was intrigued by him is that when I went to Sierra Leone, I've been there twice, I noticed that there were a lot of homes that were being designed with a Western architectural design, and I was really curious as to why people who live in a rainy rainforest climate would want to design their houses like people who live in 36 degrees, 30 something degrees, okay, 35 degrees above the equator, and when they only live like 7 degrees above the equator. Because these housing designs are everything. We don't have a rainy season like they do, and so it was very hot, and the houses were. I mean, you're trying to achieve something with the ventilation, with the design that just doesn't seem to be appropriate. So I was so excited to see Mr. Carey's architecture. One of the most beautiful things about traditional African housing is that it was said that the mud, when you make a mud house or a hut house, the mud allows a slow penetration of heat during the day. So it takes all day for the heat outside to penetrate through the walls to the center of the hut house. Conversely, by the time it gets night, it's warm in there. So at night, when it's cool on the outside, the inside of the hut at night is warm. And so by the next morning, the heat has, of course, dissipated, and now it's cool inside. So during the heat of the day, it's cool on the inside of the hut, and in the evening, it's warm inside of the hut. And so just imagine they had created this technology back in the day. And so Qatar has come along to upgrade this technology. And so I want to show a lot of lighting, and they don't require heating or anything because they are designed to, and they were designed from local materials, so they don't have to, go and buy all the stuff to create it. And the community has been very much involved in constructing these beautiful buildings. Hey, they are turning the Sahara Desert green. And I'm like, this is so cool. So this is just some the innovative water harvesting techniques that are ancient for their culture. They revitalized an ancient method by creating demilus. And then when I saw them, I said, well, it looks like a boomerang. And so they're built on the incline of the hill. So like if it's down the slope, they built all these boomerangs. So when the water rainfall, the limited amount of rainfall they have, the water is caught in those little puddles. They look like little puddles. And so what they do is they begin to plant seeds in these holes. And then after a while, they said natural vegetation began to grow, and soon they had native trees and plants growing, and as trees grow, what happens is that you have transpiration, so trees cool the air off, and then you have this air filtration, and so the earth, so instead of the Sahara being so hot, now it's beginning to cool off a bit, which also encourages rainfall. And so they said that they have planted 200 million trees over the last few years, and as this that we're doing things that we're doing right now. So in Senegal, with the way that the Senegalese are doing this is that they are planting acacia trees with a mushroom plant, and this mushroom plants are this particular one that they're using stores water. So if it rains like for just 2 months there, they are able to absorb the water, and then during the dry season, because they're planted with the acacia tree, they're able to release water to the roots of the acacia tree until it is able to grow deep. The roots are able to grow deep enough to gain from under the depths of the land. And so they have done it as well. And here you see Egypt and Mauritania. They have solar water pumps. One of my friends, CD Toure, who lives here, who's from Senegal, he went home and set up a bunch of solar powered water pumps there. And they said what this has done is begin to revitalize the communities that are in these areas. People had left because they couldn't, grow food, there was no water, and so they had migrated away. But because people come up with innovative ideas for restoring the Sahara, now they've created jobs. They've started rebuilding communities, rebuilding schools, health clinics, and we've got marketplace again. And so these communities are being revitalized because people are coming now, participating, and they're being paid to do this work of replanting the Sahara. And so just imagine they have taken on this project, and here it says Ethiopia has covered 700,000 hectares of land with 5.5 billion plants and seedlings. Sorry, and so they just went ahead and did it. And this is just something that I wish that African Americans, I know that many of us are doing. We're like, what can I do in my space? And when I go out here, and I'm just going to push to make these things happen. And this is something that I think we have lost by a significant portion of our community. Not all of us, but a lot of people are despairing. They disparage Black people. They have this anti-Blackness attitude. How Black people ain't doing nothing and Black people can't get together. And here you see that that you have Ethiopians who are building EV cars, have a whole industry now, and they're, it's a start. And you have the people building the Green Wall. You've got the Black inventor over, who created this radio wave TV, and you've got other people, the young man with the cancer treatment. We still have this genius in our community, and this let me figure out how I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna get it done with our own ingenuity. And I know that there are plenty of Black people out here who still feel this way and are willing and able and committed to uplifting our community and providing opportunities for employment for folks in the community, as well as building children, legacy building, all of that. And for me, this is what the purpose of these of this particular presentation is supposed to do: inspire us to find ways that we can continue to build our community. And so maybe next week I will show some of the innovations that we have here among African Americans. Young man from Ethiopia, he is enrolled in Fairbanks, Virginia, I do believe that's where he lives. And so he would be considered African American because he's been here since he was 4 years old. But we can do some of our homegrown, getting born, here in America to just balance it out, and maybe do some folks from the Caribbean as well, so we can see what the diaspora is doing. But these are just a few the many technological advances that Africans are making. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that people will, can benefit from it. Maybe even do projects with their kids, about scientists who are making a difference in the world, and understand that this is our legacy as African American people. This is the legacy of folks whose ancestors came across these boats. Our ancestors were the ones that invented a lot of the things that we have going on right now, that made this economy what it is. Without us, rice would not have been gold, and cotton would not have been king, and Elijah McCoy's oil cup made it possible, lubricating cup made it possible for machinery to operate during the Industrial Revolution. So, since the very beginning, we have made critical contribution to this country. And so whether they want to, close the books, the history books, or whatever, that's fine. We still can learn information and disseminate this information to make sure that things apart. Definitely would not be able to do this without you. And so I give thanks and hope that everyone enjoys. Ashe.